Saint Augustine on the Doctrine of Faith, Book 1, Chapter 23. Man needs no injunction to love himself and his own body. Those things which are objects of use are not all, however, to be loved, but those only which are either united with us in a common relation to God, such as a man or an angel, or are so related to us as to need the goodness of God through our instrumentality, such as the body. For, assuredly, the martyrs did not love the wickedness of their persecutors, although they used it to attain the favor of God. As then, there are four kinds of things that are to be loved. First, that which is above us. Second, ourselves. Third, that which is on a level with us. Fourth, that which is beneath us. No precepts need be given about the second and fourth of these. For however far a man may fall away from the truth, he still continues to love himself and to love his own body. The soul which flies away from the unchangeable light, the ruler of all things, does so that it may rule over itself and over its own body. And so it can't but love both itself and its own body. Moreover, it thinks it has attained something very great if it is able to lord it over its companions, that is, other men. For it is inherent in the sinful soul to desire above all things and to claim as due to itself that which is properly due to God only. Now such love of itself is more correctly called hate. For it is not just that it should desire what is beneath it to be obedient to it, while itself will not obey its own superior. And most justly has it been said, he who loves iniquity hates his own soul, and accordingly the soul becomes weak and endures much suffering about the mortal body. For, of course, it must love the body and be grieved at its corruption. And the immortality and incorruptibility and the immortality and incorruptibility of the body spring out of the health of the soul. Now the health of the soul is to cling steadfastly to the better part, that is, to the unchangeable God. But when it aspires to lord it even over those who are by nature its equals, that is, its fellow men, this is a reach of arrogance, utterly intolerable. Chapter 24. No man hates his own flesh, not even those who abuse it. No man then hates himself. On this point, indeed, no question was ever raised by any sect. But neither does any man hate his own body. For the Apostle says truly, no man ever yet hated his own flesh. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 29. And when some people say that they would rather be without a body altogether, they entirely deceive themselves. For it is not their body, but its corruptions and its heaviness that they hate. And so it is not a body, but an uncorrupted and very light body that they want. But they think a body of that kind would be no body at all, because they think such a thing as that must be a spirit. And as to the fact that they seem in some sort to scourge their bodies by abstinence and toil, Those who do this in the right spirit do it not that they may get rid of their body, but that they may have it in subjection and ready for every needful work. For they strive by a kind of toilsome exercise of the body itself to root out those lusts that are hurtful to the body, that is, those habits and affections of the soul that lead to the enjoyment of unworthy objects. They are not destroying themselves, they are taking care of their health. They are taking care of their health. Those, on the other hand, who do this in a perverse spirit, make war upon their own body as if it were a natural enemy. And in this matter, they are led astray by a mistaken interpretation of what they read. The flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to the other. Galatians chapter 5, verse 17. For this is said of the carnal habit yet unsubdued, against which the spirit lusts, not to destroy the body, but to eradicate the lust of the body, i.e., its evil habit, and thus to make it subject to the spirit, which is what the order of nature demands. For as, after the resurrection, the body, having become wholly subject to the spirit, will live in perfect peace to all eternity, even in this life we must make it an object to have the carnal habit changed for the better, so that its inordinate affections may not war against the soul. And until this shall take place, the flesh lusts against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. The spirit struggling not in hatred, but for the mastery, because it desires that what it loves should be subject to the higher principle. And the flesh struggling not in hatred, but because of the bondage of habit which it has derived from its parent stock, and which has grown in upon it by a law of nature, till it has become inveterate. The spirit then, in subduing the flesh, is working as it were to destroy the ill-founded peace of an evil habit, and to bring about the real peace which springs out of a good habit. Nevertheless, not even those who, led astray by false notions, hate their bodies would be prepared to sacrifice one eye, even supposing they could do so without suffering any pain, and that they had as much sight left in one as they formerly had in two, unless some object was to be attained which would overbalance the loss. These and other indications of the same kind are sufficient to show those who candidly seek the truth how well-founded is the statement of the Apostle when he says, "No man ever yet hated his own flesh." He adds too, "but nourishes and cherishes it, even as the Lord, the Church." Ephesians chapter 5, verse 29. Chapter 25. A man may love something more than his body, but does not therefore hate his body. Man therefore ought to be taught the due measure of loving, that is, in what measure he may love himself so as to be of service to himself. For that he does love himself and does desire to do good to himself, nobody but a fool would doubt. He is to be taught, too, in what measure to love his body, so as to care for it wisely and within due limits. For it is equally manifest that he loves his body also and desires to keep it safe and sound. And yet a man may have something that he loves better than the safety and soundness of his body, For many have been found voluntarily to suffer both pains and amputations of some of their limbs, that they might obtain other objects which they valued more highly. But no one is to be told not to desire the safety and health of his body, because there is something he desires more. For the measure, though he loves money, buys bread for himself. That is, he gives away money that he is very fond of and desires to heap up, but it is because he values more highly the bodily health which the bread sustains. It is superfluous to argue longer on a point so very plain, but this is just what the error of wicked men often compels us to do.